Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Today I'm doing my 4-week on carnivore diet update. And spoiler alert, things are going well. I want to go into the details. I did have some downsides that I want to talk about. And the reason I do this is because I know when I was researching carnivore, it was really hard to just get straight answers. And so anecdotal evidence became really good as I was doing research, just to see like people saying what they've been through. So let's start with the bad, because I like to start with the bad. You know, the bad news hits and then you kind of cushion it with the good news and you finish with good news. So you kind of leave feeling happy. So let's start with the problems that I had on carnivore diet after 1 month. So one of the first obvious problems was flavor, just lack of flavor in the food. So when I started, I ate a bunch of eggs, ham, bacon, and beef. And the beef was usually ground beef or hamburger. And all of those are easy to make, and those are, I think, good to start with, but definitely something I don't want to stay with forever if I was just eating those foods. And so I would say within the first week, I kind of got tired of those flavors. So I started experimenting with other spices. I have branched out since then, and I'm eating different cuts of meat and different types of meat, trying different seasonings and marinades and stuff. And it's all experimental. It's cool, but it's also just like there's a lot of flavors that I miss. And actually one thing that I do miss is just something that's crunchy. I have not eaten anything crunchy except maybe bacon, like cold bacon, which kind of satisfies that crunchy desire, but it's not been bad. And especially when I remember my why, here's why I'm doing this, I can push through that flavor. And I know that there's more flavors out there. I just need to use them and cook them and get them in my repertoire. But that's one of the first things that I noticed was the flavor is just, you're obviously not eating a lot of food, and now you're restricting to just some foods. Another thing that I noticed was I always seem to be thirsty. So I'm drinking a lot of water. I'm trying to get enough electrolytes, enough salt, but I just always feel thirsty. And it's weird because when I pee, I'm peeing clear. So it's like my body is just handling water differently. So I know I'm still kind of in the adaptation phase, and I haven't landed in, I think it's phase 3 of carnivore yet. But yeah, just being thirsty. I'm waking up in the middle of the night several times just to be thirsty. And I used to not have to get up and pee in the middle of the night, and now I do. So that has come back, and I'm really hoping that just levels off, because yeah, it's not a deal breaker, but it's annoying to always feel thirsty, even when I'm drinking water, and to have to pee in the middle of the night when I didn't used to. Another minor complaint I have is I would get food stuck in my teeth. I'd get meat stuck right next to my incisors, and it was like on week 2, I think, that it was happening. And my gums kind of got inflamed a little bit because of that. It's like, oh, there's food in here, and I had to really like learn how to get food out of my teeth, and I think I've gotten better at it, and my gums are no longer inflamed. But for a few days there, it was really annoying. And once again, not a deal breaker, but it was annoying. And so I told you about in a previous video where I had binged on cheese, and it gave me an upset stomach, and it also, I think, drained a lot of my electrolytes. And so I had that one night where I woke up shaking from the carnivore flu. Now, I was able to fix it pretty quickly by going to drink some salt water, but that, I would say, was a negative of just waking up shaking and generally feeling bad. But once I got the salt water in me, I felt better. So on to the worst news that happened during the carnivore. So 1 month of carnivore. Before I started carnivore, I had high blood pressure. So I was just overweight, and I had high blood pressure, and it was always the systolic number, like the top number in the blood pressure. I was always over what my doctor recommended, which was 140/90. Both numbers needed to be below that. So the top number of systolic needed to be under 140, and the bottom number, the diastolic, needed to be under 90. And before I started any diets and was just overweight, I consistently was high on the top number, which was systolic. And so I got on medicine. It helped bring it down, but it was like right at the limit, like right where, man, that sunlight makes me look like I'm glowing. That medicine helped get me down to right where my doctor wanted me to be, but I was still like right there on the edge at 140 over 90. Sometimes I'd spike up, sometimes I'd spike down. And so started doing carnivore, expecting my blood pressure is going to go down. I read a lot of stuff about carnivore helping blood pressure, and my blood pressure actually went up. I had not been measuring it every day. And then I started to get some of the symptoms of high blood pressure, like headaches, dizziness, lightheadedness. And I thought, by that time I had lost, 20 pounds. And I thought just losing weight would improve my blood pressure. So I did a little bit of research, and I found stuff that said, in that initial phase of carnivore, your blood pressure can go up. And mine did. So oddly enough, it was not the systolic, it was not the top number, it was the bottom number that went up, and it went up substantially. I went from like floating around 90 to the highest I saw was 106 maybe. And obviously I did not feel well during that time either. So I decided to go back on my blood pressure medicine, and I'm gonna wait it out. I'm gonna see, does carnivore long-term lower my blood pressure? I believe it will, but short-term, I don't want my blood pressure going that high. I don't like the headaches and the lightheadedness. And I had mentioned the lightheadedness in previous videos, and I was a little cavalier about it, but I'm taking it a little more seriously now. And the good news is, after getting on my medicine, I'm having blood pressure readings that are below the recommendation from my doctor on both numbers. And I had basically never been that. I don't have the exact numbers with me, but it was substantially lower than the recommendation of my doctor. So I'm encouraged by that. I'm gonna stay on the medicine for, until, I'm gonna try to watch my blood pressure and see if it keeps going down, and I'm gonna taper it. My doctor had given me instructions on kind of tapering down. You go down to half doses and then no doses. So I do feel good about the blood pressure stuff. I feel better. I'm feeling better each day as my blood pressure stays below where it should be. My only complaint, though, is the medicine has side effects, and it's kind of dumb because the side effects are the same as the symptoms of high blood pressure. So I am getting dizzy and lightheaded as a side effect of the blood pressure medicine, even though my blood pressure is now below the recommendation. So I would say that's the worst news, and I'm kind of in a wait and see kind of mindset with that. So that's all the bad news I can think of. Now on to the good news. The good news is things are going great. I have lost a lot of weight. I'll go over some of the metrics and then just talk about some successes I've had. So the big one is my weight. So at the start of this journey, I weighed 305 pounds. That's not my heaviest. My heaviest has been 330 in years past, but 305 is kind of where I started on this carnivore journey. And I am down now to 277. So I'm down 28 pounds. So that's really encouraging. 1 month of this diet. And quite frankly, the diet has felt very easy. I have not had a whole bunch of just like, oh, push through, willpower, come on moments. It has just been like, yeah, you eat meat and you don't feel hungry. So losing 28 pounds pretty easily is very encouraging. My waist, so I measure right at the belt line. My waist has lost 3¼ inches. So my pants are fitting pretty loose right now. I'm down several belt loops. I have 2 different belts, and depending on which one, I gotta buckle my seatbelt because we're driving. I wait in a line here to pick up my kid, and that's why I do videos now, because it's perfect time. I have a little cushion of time. But anyway, yeah, I'm down several belt loops. on my belt. And then the other thing is I have lost 3¼ inches on my belly, right at the belly button. So what I would do is I would make sure to let my belly hang out, like I'm not sucking it in at all. And I've lost 3¼ inches on that. So all in all, very encouraging after 1 month of carnivore diet. And I want to keep going and see how far I can take this. I'm getting compliments from my wife. And I actually did think of one more downside. My wife informed me that my breath is starting to stink. And so that just happened recently, and I've just started looking into it. So I don't have a ton of answers. I need to get a phone mount for the car. Don't worry, I'm coasting along at like 3 miles an hour, waiting in a school pickup line. But I just started looking into the bad breath literally today. And from what I've seen, it seems like it'll be temporary. It seems as my body gets more adapted to digesting fat, that will go down as well. And from what I've read, you need to drink more water, which makes sense because I've been thirsty a lot. So today I have increased my water intake a lot, and we'll see how that goes. So those are metrics. I don't think I'm going to be able to put them up on the screen. My video editing skills have not improved yet. They will eventually, but today is not that day. So finally, I want to talk about just some of the successes that I have had on carnivore, and look forward to the future. So I've said it through several of my videos, you don't feel hungry on carnivore. So it's a lot easier to resist temptations because you never feel hungry. I don't need to eat that candy because I don't feel hungry. I don't need to eat those cookies because I don't feel hungry. I feel stuffed. So that has been really nice, and honestly, that's where the willpower comes from. You don't feel hungry. We just made it through Halloween. I did not eat a single piece of candy at Halloween. Have not done that ever. So, since I was a kid, and maybe my parents didn't even give me candy, that sort of thing. But other than that, some other successes are I am sleeping better. I'm noticing that. I have not had headaches except from the high blood pressure. So I would often have headaches almost every day, and it always seemed to be tied to sugar. Like in the afternoon I would get a headache. And I have not had those. The only ones have been since the blood pressure went up a little bit. What else? Eating out has not been bad. So, going to restaurants and getting hamburger patties is totally doable. And I know that as I get more experience and practice going out to eat, it should be fine. And cooking has been really interesting because I'm learning to cook. I'm cooking for myself. My wife helps make dinner for the kids, and sometimes I make dinner for the kids too, but I'm cooking for myself almost every night. So just learning how to cook using the air fryer, diving into different spices has been really fun. And I know there's a very high ceiling on cooking where I could do a lot and I could learn a lot, and I could really start cooking some cool stuff as I get better. Aside from that, those are the main benefits I've seen. And my plan is to keep going, and I'm going to watch my blood pressure and hopefully wean off that medicine. And once I'm off that, I'll be off all of my meds. Now, I've never been a person who's been on a lot of medicine anyway, but this high blood pressure medicine I've been on for over a year. And I do have my doctor who prescribed the high blood pressure medicine is trying to get me to come in for a visit. And I'm going to have to prepare, because I'm going to have to tell her, hey, I'm doing carnivore. And I fully expect her to say, that's a bad idea. So, if you're watching this, you've already kind of done a little bit of research and know that mainstream doctors don't think carnivore is a good idea. And I don't honestly want to have a medical argument with my doctor because I will lose. And I can't remember all the stuff that I've seen and watched. But anyway, that is my 4-week update. Thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for more updates.